Welcome back to Two Homers and a Realist. We've got an interesting pod here to talk about a lot of stuff going on here in the summer. We're sitting here on a sunny morning in June. It seems like football season is forever away, but it's going to be on us before we know it. What is it, 77?
77 days.
Days until, there we go. Well, I'm Steve.
I'm Connor.
Lucas.
Jay.
And we've got a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about the schedule that got released, and then transition into some talk about what's been the rumors about tailgating, some stuff we've been hearing about summer camp and other things. But let's dive into the schedule. So the schedules got released for 2024, the SEC schedule. We didn't get any dates, of course. We just got who the opponents will be and if they're going to be home or away. What do you guys feel about the schedule? You excited about it?
Yeah, you want to walk through it real quick? So OU SEC schedule 2024, starting with the home game / neutral site. So we're obviously against Texas in Dallas. We have Alabama at home, Tennessee at home, and South Carolina at home. And then you take a look at the away games. We're at LSU, at Auburn, at Missouri, and at Ole Miss. So we play 3 Tigers on the road and then go to the Grove against Ole Miss. So overall, I mean, I think it's a tough draw, but I think we would have been saying that about any SEC schedule just because of the teams that are in that league, and I think it's an exciting first year that we're going to have. I mean, Bama coming into town right off the bat is huge. Josh Heupel coming back with what he's doing at Tennessee and what he seems to be building is a big deal. So
Beamer.
Beamer, yep. Beamer's
I don't know that we've ever played South Carolina.
We have never played South
Nope.
Carolina.
Or
So-
either Mississippi school.
Yeah.
No, we played
Played Ole Miss in the bowl
Ole
game
Miss,
in
yeah.
'99.
Oh, that's right.
So, but I'm excited. I think it's going to be great. I think it's tough to like give any sort of prediction, obviously, right now. But I'm excited. It's going to be fun. The away games are fun. The home games are just as much fun.
I'm pretty excited. I think for everybody, it seems like this is getting it into a sense of realism, and it's going to happen. And now we kind of can more than just conceptual. It's getting concrete, and this is making it where it's a little more in front of us, not just something that we've been thinking about, but now we're actually seeing the games on the schedule to a degree at least. What do you guys think? You pretty excited, or just like this is just something that happened?
I'm excited. It's definitely going to be a lot tougher in the Big 12.
Really?
I'm going to miss the
kidding?
days of
Cupcake,
knowing
cupcake,
that we're going to
cupcake.
win a conference
You
championship before the season
no
starts.
stress football games.
Yes.
Well, we all do.
I love the blowouts.
Yeah.
I'll sit through a 63-0 game against
Right.
Indiana State all day. It doesn't bother me a bit.
Well, let me counter that for you and make you feel better. If you think back and look back to the schedule in the last 6 years, we had a lot of games we thought should be cupcakes, and they weren't. They were nail-biters, including a lot that we lost. So
I don't like those.
now nobody likes those. Nobody really likes those.
Yeah.
When you're 24
And now we've
point
got a
favorite
schedule
and you
full
lose.
of them.
Now, no. Now we have a schedule full of games that are tough. We know they're tough. Everyone knows they're tough. So there's a lot more. There's different expectations. So you think going in, this is going to be a real tough game, and then all of a sudden you're up by 3 touchdowns. Like, wow, now I'm relieved and comfortable. Whereas if it's a nail biter in the fourth quarter, that's what you expected. So we knew it was going to be tougher getting into the SEC.
As
This is part of it.
SEC outsiders, we used to, used to not really rag on or bag on SEC fans, talking about the week in, week out schedule, just way you don't know what it's like.
Now you see it.
Now that you actually have it on your schedule, you're kind of like, well,
Yeah, but it's different than it was a decade ago.
It is.
Because it used to just be Florida, Bama,
LSU.
occasionally Georgia, and LSU, and everybody else
Well,
stopped.
actually, before
Really.
that, in the Big 12's heyday, it was not Alabama. They were not
Yeah.
Yep.
competitive. It was LSU and Florida.
Yeah.
And that was really it. Georgia wasn't that
Georgia
competitive.
was a good
They were a good
10-win
school,
team.
but
They
they
were-
weren't.
yeah.
They weren't.
Tennessee wasn't anything.
And
A&M
the week
got
in, week
relegated
out.
essentially from the Big 12.
Unless they changed something, and this for us is a change. The tough guys didn't play each other. When's the last time Georgia Alabama played? When's the last time? What's the
4
other
times in
matchup that
20 years,
hasn't
I saw.
happened? Never. A&M Georgia's never happened
Bama's
Yep.
never played at the Swamp
at the.
at Florida.
Oh, at Florida in the
Bama,
Swamp. Right.
yeah.
Never. Wow. Okay, so there you go.
That's
That's
ridiculous.
unbelievable.
Yeah. Or hasn't.
And
or,
that's, I mean,
or it's-
I literally mean
or
that's
it's been,
unbelievable.
I say never, or it's been
Forever.
35 years, 40 years, something.
Right. That's something when it's not relevant. So there's some context to all of that. Well, I want to ask you guys, go around the group and tell me what you think the 3 toughest games are in order on the schedule as you project out into 2024. And if you want me to start, I will.
Go
you
for
start.
I will say that you'd think I was prepared.
You're not
for
ready.
this.
I got Alabama, Texas, LSU.
Alabama, Texas, LSU.
So you're ordering that Alabama is the most difficult, Texas second most difficult, LSU third.
No, let's go Bama, LSU, Texas.
So I'm
1, 2,
actually
3.
your first pick. I was Bama, Texas at LSU.
I think at LSU is tougher than Texas because we've had plenty of years where we've been equal to Texas or they've been a little bit better talent-wise and we've still gotten
Right.
the victory.
The reason I say that is, and a lot of this can change, obviously, but I don't know. I think I actually changed that. I'm going to say Bama at home, Texas in the Cotton Bowl, Tennessee at home. Because I think Tennessee has got more going on than what Brian Kelly's got at LSU. That could change. All of this could change. Alabama might not be that tough at all. Who knows? Texas might tank, and they're actually an easy game. But
I mean, Tennessee's breaking in a new quarterback.
Yeah, but
They're
he's
having
really,
to come
really
to
good.
Norman.
it would be 2 years.
That's true. Still.
So 2 years, a lot. can
Alabama's
change.
breaking in a new quarterback.
What do you guys think? Any disagreement?
I'm
Alabama's breaking someone new. Right?
Same teams, but different order. I'm at LSU, Bama at home, Texas in the Cotton Bowl.
Yeah, same 3 teams. My LSU, where I place that, is depending on if it's at night. I think LSU at night
Yeah,
is
that's a
maybe
wild
the
card.
hardest place to play in the whole country.
That's
It'll
why I
be
put it in
tough.
front of the Texas game.
Yeah, and
And
there's
now,
a good reason for that.
I don't know
yeah.
that it's that much easier at 11 or 12 o'clock kickoffs for SEC,
Uh-huh.
but it's still not a night game in Baton Rouge. And
Yeah.
I have a feeling they'll make it a night game,
Yeah.
just because it's just that much grander.
I wouldn't be completely shocked if it's 2 of the teams I picked, any 2, or say 2 of the 4 that we've all identified, are not any difficulty at all. Or there's other teams that are much better. That Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss has got them under some kind of a rolling momentum. That Auburn does their thing where Auburn all of a sudden is good at once every 5 to 10 years. I don't think Missouri's going to be very good, but who knows? But that could be a trap game for us too, for sure. So at least there's a lot of agreement about what it looks like. I will say it looks like we got most of our difficult games either with the Texas game where we always have it or at home. LSU clearly is the outlier there, so that's at least good. What do you guys think in comparison to Texas's schedule? So Texas got 4 true home games: Mississippi State, Florida, Georgia, Kentucky, and then the neutral game with us. In addition, on the road, A&M, Arkansas, Vanderbilt. What do you guys think about that schedule? in
I think
comparison?
they negotiated with the SEC, said if you're going to force us to go to A&M, we want the Vanderbilt side of the schedule.
that could be. I could
They were
see
just
that.
like a compromise
I
thing
could see that.
because that's an easy trip for Texas to go to Vanderbilt.
Well, yeah, I think us 4 could put up a pretty good game against Vanderbilt.
Maybe.
Florida, Georgia at home seems like it could be. I mean, Georgia's obviously going to be really tough. Florida, I don't know what they are either without Anthony Richardson.
Yeah.
So we'll see what they are in 2024. But I have to imagine that's not going to be some walkthrough. So we'll see. I definitely. I mean, if maybe I am biased, if I looked at the two, which I am side by side right now, I've got to say we came out with the tougher draw just with the away games that we got. So I don't know. We'll see.
It helps that they got an extra home game when you're talking about who got the tougher draw. They get an edge there. Vanderbilt is most likely significantly worse than anyone else, so that's an easier
Yeah, if you
one.
look at our worst 3, it's going to be Missouri,
Ole Miss,
Ole Miss, and Auburn. I
Maybe
think-
South
I
Carolina.
mean, it could be South Carolina.
It could be.
Yeah.
But those 3 I think are tougher than Mississippi State, Arkansas, and Vanderbilt. So even just in the median, the middle of the road games, they're harder. We don't. They got the lower end.
And I keep wanting to comment on the Auburn and the Ole Miss game, tougher environments all around. But I mean, you do look at the league across the board. The environments in most of these away stadiums are pretty equal. I mean, outside of Vanderbilt, Texas A&M is massively hostile. Arkansas
will
is
be
going to
for
be
Texas more than
Arkansas is going to be
anyone.
really hostile for Texas, which they recently played though, right?
Yes.
Arkansas
last year.
thumped
Yeah, last
them.
year
And
they
Arkansas
thumped them.
beat the crap out of them.
The year
Yeah.
before last.
Year before,
Year before last, yeah, season before last.
Ran
so,
for like 500 something yards on them.
Right. Yeah.
So we'll see.
We'll see. Yeah, a lot remains to be seen, but you're right that you've got two very fired up opponents that you got to go travel to if you're Texas with A&M and Arkansas. We have LSU at best in terms of that. I mean, they're just going to be LSU. They don't necessarily have a hatred for us.
Well, I think this first season everyone's going.
Yeah,
to.
it's going to be OU's coming into town.
Yeah,
where
sure.
It's going to
I
be.
mean,
Yeah.
from top to bottom,
Yeah.
every team is going to be absolutely
Well,
pumped
everyone is
to put us
doing
in
that.
our place.
Well, yeah, everyone wants to beat the defending national champion, and so with the championship in 23 that we're predicting, you're clearly going to have a big target on your back. Mississippi State at home probably is not difficult for Texas. That's probably their trap game. Florida remains to be seen, but Georgia obviously is really tough. Kentucky could be a trap game too. You have two trap games at home, and Texas is home. History at home is not real strong, as we know.
Who did Mississippi State bring in as a head coach after Leach passed away? Did they promote a guy from within?
I don't remember.
I don't remember, honestly.
Yeah,
I
I
know
don't know.
Hugh Freeze is at Auburn now, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know.
I can't remember what happened to the Mississippi State job.
And that like always with Mississippi State, a complete wild card as to know what's going to go on.
No, I do think looking at the schedule,
Zach Arnett.
I can see.
Never heard of him.
I can
Was he an
see
offensive coordinator or
where
something?
or why
Leach called the
Venables
plays, but
has been cleaning house. You do need depth to play this kind of schedule. You are
Yeah.
going to have players that go down, and you have to have as equally good players
Yeah.
behind your guys
Yeah.
to play.
Yeah, and definitely just from the standpoint of the week in, week out, the grind of it all, just in a different way than what we've had before. So it's not. There were a lot of games, high-scoring games, where you're on the field a lot, you're running around a lot. But there's one thing to get beat for a 40-yard touchdown, and now you're off the field. It's another to be in the trenches, getting your head bashed in for 10 straight plays, and you still give up the touchdown, or even if you don't, and then you got to go out and do it again, and then next week it's the same thing. So the attrition factor is probably a lot higher.
Well, also we were used to maybe having one or two tough games in a row, and
Right,
then you have
and
a
that's
couple of. You can lose them if you don't play well, but
And we did.
they're just not as tough.
Yeah.
And then you'd have another tough game.
Right.
But right now, I mean, you're potentially looking at doing everything you can to beat Bama at home,
Right.
and then next week you think there's a little bit of a break because you just got done playing Bama. And you're
Right.
like, oh no, you're at Auburn next week.
I mean, do
Right.
you really think the injury situation is going to be that much worse?
I think so.
I mean, there's
a higher level
on a
of physicality.
recruiting level. Obviously, Auburn's got better athletes than Iowa State, let's say.
Right.
But I don't nowadays. There is more parity in college football than there's ever been, probably. And I don't know
I don't
that
know if
the
I agree with that at
athletes
all.
are that much bigger and stronger
I'll say I don't agree with that at all.
injury-wise than what we see now.
I don't know if it's injury wise, like major injury. I just
Wear and
think
tear.
I think
Well, the technology
players-
with the recuperation is so much
the
better
players
now.
are slightly bigger, faster, stronger,
Yes.
particularly in the trenches.
Yeah.
So I think that week in, week out, your running backs, your linemen, those guys might get banged up more, and you've got to have someone that can fill in.
Well, I'll agree with what Lucas is saying from the standpoint of what the
Same with
not just
linebackers
rehabilitation,
and-
but training and technique. That you don't see as much disparity, I don't think, between teams in terms of just physicality and athleticism. There's a lot more of that. Now, whether that translates into win-loss parity, I don't think it does, but I think it does translate into a lot of physicality parity. And all of that said, I still think the SEC is a much more physical league, and the style of play is so much more physical that you've got the risk that you're going to have injuries from wear and tear and injuries from the grind of it all. And that's as much about the style of play as anything.
I mean, I think, like I said, I think it's some, but I think we're blowing it a little bit out of proportion.
Yeah, they're not Superman.
Yeah, I mean, there's still going to be. I mean, hell, we had problems with Army, with as many
Right.
plays as they ran, and guys getting run off the field. And
Well, we're not used to seeing what our defense hopefully will be and the offenses are different. In fact, if anything, I would say
They've become more Big 12.
they
like.
become more Big 12 like what we're
For
leaving
sure.
behind, and we're going to see actually fielding a defense, which will be interesting to see, and not just have just an offense. So that'll be a whole different perspective and element to the game. But let's talk about some rumors we've been hearing. Have you guys heard and kept up with the rumors on Bedlam that they're in discussions? It sounds like there's a chance they may actually resurrect or keep alive the football Bedlam matchup. It sounds like they're a long ways away, but there's a chance. And I'm hearing that from Castiglione.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm pretty sure actually I don't like that.
I'm completely against it.
I'm against it.
100% against it.
Lucas, view?
I'm indifferent. It
Tell
can't.
us-
It's not going to happen for based on what OSU already has scheduled with other Power Fives. It's like 2030 would be the earliest type. This would happen.
Yeah, unless they really need it and want it, and
Yeah,
but
they're not canceling other
I bet they would.
series to
They
get-
would.
They don't want to play us that bad.
no, I think they do. It depends on who you're talking about. Their fans may not, but their fans don't get a vote. Who gets a vote is the university, who's going to say it is by far our number one.
Gundy
ticket.
doesn't want to play it.
He also probably doesn't get a vote and may not be there after a couple of years anyway. They're going to look at it and say, we have to get that back on the schedule because we don't have a fan to speak of attending our games. So I think the economics of it is going to drive them to want it. I don't want it for the same reasons. We don't need it. I don't think it does anything for us.
If that is our hard out of conference game every year, I'd be okay with that.
See, I'd be even
in
more
one
opposed to
hand,
it.
in one hand, but on the other side of it, I don't always want to have that as a destination. I
No.
want to go to Michigan.
Exactly.
I want to go to Oregon, etc. But you don't want to have both. I don't want to have Oak State every year.
Oh, I don't.
And we schedule Michigan.
No, I'd rather in a 12-team playoff world, you can have a true perennial difficult game. OSU is not that game. Sorry, guys. But Ohio State is the real OSU. Michigan, Oregon probably. And I want to see one of those guys, that type of caliber team, USC, on the schedule every year. And I think it's heads you win, tails you don't lose. Because a 12-team playoff, you still have so many roads to the
we'll
and you
have to,
get
we'll
credit
have to
for it.
see.
They could do it on an every other year basis. 2030 we go to Stillwater. 2032 they come here.
Yeah.
2034 you go to Stillwater, and you could do that every other year. Host a game, or what if they decide and make that a Jerry World game or something random?
Right.
Like they could do a neutral site.
No, they
OU
wouldn't do that.
Bedlam game.
No, they wouldn't do that though. There's no way we both would travel to Dallas. Oklahoma State is going to want/need it on their schedule for a home game. Oklahoma may even want it for that. Again, someone who doesn't get a vote, which is me, I would say I can tolerate it if it's an 8-game conference schedule, which I don't want. But if it's a 9-game conference schedule and that's one of 3 games, that really
Absolutely
is
not.
awful
You don't
to
want
me.
it, yeah. You completely shoot yourself in the foot with other, and it's like Jay said, I don't want that to be a yearly destination and then have to figure out, okay, we have to play Oklahoma State this year and an Oregon, and it's a
And there's only
lose-lose.
one of those schools that you get any credit for
Exactly.
playing, period.
Right. And
And what's everyone else doing, right?
Right.
Like, because like South Carolina, they might.
Plays Clemson.
That's kind of what South Carolina's in right now, right? They always have Clemson.
Right.
So
But they're playing up when they play Clemson.
recently,
Well, in the last decade.
if I have to concede to it, I would
2
say,
decades.
if I have to say that there's discussions and accept that, I would say give me that game once a decade. 2 years every 10 years, essentially.
Less is more for me. Whatever less
For
is.
sure, as little as possible. If I had the choice, I would never play them again.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest, there's no benefit. I mean, it'd be fun to be like 20 years down the line and say, okay, this is a good time for us to schedule this one off.
How
type
often
of
does
home and home.
how often does Ohio State play at Ohio?
Yeah.
The same.
Yeah.
We'll do it the same once a decade. And they have to come to Norman every time. Well, the other rumor that we've been hearing about is tailgating. So, little buzz going out. We've got both Harris and Castiglione. Castiglione. Was it Castiglione? And definitely Venables mentioning tailgating. Venables coming out and talking a lot about it, saying it's going to happen. It has to happen. We need it. Which to me was, I'll believe it when I see it, which is I think what Lucas said first about it, and you reiterated, Connor. That's very true. Talk is cheap. But the fact that he's talking about it, to me, has a little more credibility to it, because I don't think he's going to speak out of turn. I think he's going to say something when he really thinks there's a good chance it's going to happen. And maybe he's going to be behind the parade, not in front of it. He knows it's coming, and the changes are going to be there. But not only that, I've got my doubts when they say they're going to do something, what they think they're going to do versus what we need. Because we've seen what they've done recently in the past, and it's been absolutely pathetic. They think I don't know if they think they saved tailgating in the last couple
What
of
I
years.
hope the difference
but
is
it's a joke.
Is we've been complaining about tailgating for our fans, and this is for
Opposing fans. Well, hopefully it's for both.
Yeah, but I think the main driver of this is you do not want to lose that economic boom that comes into your town. You don't want people to not come to Norman because the game wasn't fun and we had nowhere to tailgate, and all of a sudden you're down thousands of tickets from these other schools, which is immense amount of money once you extrapolate it to hotels and foods and all the other stuff. I think they're doing it for the road trip fans.
Well, probably, I bet you're right, and they need to think about it just more selfishly. That will drive their ticket prices to be higher all by itself. If you've got an exciting venue to come to, that increases demand a lot. If you've got road people, you're going to have people that consider getting, somebody's going to have season tickets just to sell it to the road people. And they're going to rotate through who they sell their season tickets to with no intention of themselves going to the game.
Screw those people.
And but that drives the ticket price higher for OU, and that would be something they should and would love to have. What do you think, Lucas?
I think that's a lot of lip service, and they may do like the Lindsay Street stuff again, where you can go put up tents.
Do you think they'll
on
screw
that
it
one
up
side.
and make it where you have to go through them?
I don't think it'll be the pay thing like they did with the other section over by the old Bud Wilkinson. I think it'll be we're accommodating, quote unquote, the fans that have been complaining about not being able to get that section since they built the new buildings there. And it'll just be, and they'll do that and be like, what more do you want? We brought the tailgating back, as opposed to, hey, you could do something on the north and south oval. You could do something over there across from the porch and Louis and stuff in that big grass area.
Huge grass
Yeah,
area
I mean,
there.
there's the duck pond. They could bring the duck pond scene back.
I bet they will.
There's not a boatload of things that you can do on this campus, I don't think, but there's definitely plenty to do that would make it better.
You shouldn't see as much open space as what you do walking to the games right now, essentially.
I think you should see next
see
to none
tents.
And you should have to walk through tailgating or around tailgating no matter what angle of attack you take getting to the stadium.
And Lucas and
Except
Jay
for skydivers.
Lucas and Jay have said this.
No, I want aerial balloons.
Lucas and Jay have said this, brought this story up a lot about their trip to Tennessee and how they couldn't walk more than 50 feet at a time without getting pulled into someone's
5
tent.
feet.
And we know Oxford's like that.
And
we know
that is the
Ohio
type of
State.
atmosphere you need. The type of atmosphere you need is you want. I mean, we've heard from Tennessee fans when we went there how great our tailgating was. That was the year before we shut Lindsay Street down, and that was just Lindsay. Like we have never used that area off of Boyd, there south of Boyd, to put tents in. Right, that full field in front of the admissions
They've
building.
done a little bit along
Yeah,
the
no.
sidewalk.
And that's a
They've
huge
always
field.
left that open.
They've always left that
always
open.
There's a little bit on that sidewalk, where they
but-
used to let
Right.
the hat company, Top
Yeah.
of the World, they had this like football helmet inflatable
Yeah, I
there.
remember that.
Right.
But it was just literally like
He's always
3
been there.
tailgating spots that were there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the whole rest of that field is wide open. I think the band congregates there. When they used to walk down, do they still go down go down Campus
Asp.
Corner?
Yeah, from
The band walks down there, and
Asp
then they
to
come over there
Webster, or Webster
that
to
grass
Asp.
area. But
Yeah,
that could all be tents.
I don't know if the band gathers there. I think they've done that a few times, but they usually do their big thing right outside of the stadium, which is another place with a lot of space. And
An immense amount of space.
if you just let people stake it out, they'll figure it out, and it could be really good. And they'll figure out. So one of the keys for the university will be crowd control and figure out where they can have tents, to have a lot of tents in that north of the stadium area and around, but then have some organization to how they funnel people into the stadium,
Yeah.
including more points of entry and better, faster points of entry. There's something that I have, of all these things where I've got my doubts, that's the no hope
Yeah.
scenario of them ever figuring that thing out. It's always going to be misery trying to get into the stadium.
I'd love to hear an explanation on it. I'd love to hear
They're lazy and cheap.
but I'd love to hear an administrative.
They'll tell you
explanation.
it's staffing. That's what they'll tell you.
Yeah.
They don't have enough people to
which
man
goes back to the
which
chief.
is a
metal
joke.
detectors, and hell, now they don't even
It's all a
scan your
joke.
tickets. You do it yourself,
Uh-huh.
and they have somebody standing in front of the stand that has the laser on it that shoots your barcode.
Right.
And make
They
sure
just-
you're scanning
Yeah,
it.
they just stand there and watch.
Yeah.
So that's 2 people per entrance with 2 scanners. I mean,
In the scheme of
it's
things, it just
ridiculous.
cannot be that.
It's not hard. It's
That
not
much
hard. I just
money.
got back from Paris. I went into
But I mean, the
plenty of
cost-
places that have all kinds of security that are much more famous than Memorial Stadium, and they get it in. They get it done.
I
It's
just
not
mean the
that bad.
cost. It just can't be that.
The cost
in the
is
grand
not,
scheme of things, it's nothing.
It's nothing.
Nominal.
It's an absolute rounding error. It's just a matter of actually somebody taking it on themselves to get it done, and making it a priority and understanding it's a problem. But it's like a lot of things. Like we go up to the upper deck of the West Side, and this is a joke. Concessions are a joke. The bathroom's a joke.
the view is a joke.
The view is perfect. So I don't know. I hold out hope. We'll see. But it's not a lot of hope on that front. But I do hope they get. I think not just hope. Maybe we're all in agreement on this. They have got to get tailgating figured out, or we're going to be a joke. And it's going to. You don't get any chances to make that up. You've got 4 teams coming to Norman, with at least one of them has a phenomenal record on tailgating and are world famous for it with Ole Miss. If you don't figure, that's the away schedule. You got Alabama and Tennessee coming to Norman. And
South Carolina's
yeah,
even
and
their
South
tailgating
Carolina.
schedule,
So
or
you've got Tennessee, who, and I've been to Alabama. I've seen their tailgating. So they know tailgating. They're going to come here and they're going to say this is a joke, and you're not going to get many second chances, if any, to re-impress those people. And the rumor mill starts. It's a bad spiral.
Is it that big of a deal when we've gone? I've been to every Big 12 stadium except for obviously Texas. I've never been to, and I haven't been to Iowa State. But
or West Virginia.
yeah, or West Virginia. They're not the Big 12. So when I've gone to these schools for the game, I could care less about the tailgating scene. I'm going to watch a football game. So is it going to deter that many people from Tennessee that want to come watch OU play Tennessee and just go to our stadium? Because I mean, we've got a famous stadium because there's been a ton of amazing games there throughout history.
Right.
We represent such a small portion of that, because I agree with you. I don't go there, be like, man, what tents am I going to see? Who
Yeah,
am
when I went to
gonna meet?
Tennessee, I didn't care anything about
But I will
tailgating
say-
when I was going out
But
there.
we
I
go.
think
but
we're
we're hardcore
indifferent.
football.
We're hardcore
It
football
made the
fans.
experience better, but if
True.
literally there would have just been you park in a parking lot like Baylor used to be, you pull up to Baylor, you could park 10 feet from the stadium and then walk in.
But you
I
don't
had tons
ever-
of fun watching OU at Baylor.
But you don't talk about that the same way you talk about the Ohio State and the Tennessee experience. So it does matter even to you and to us. It makes it a better atmosphere. And we're not, 2 things. One is we're hardcore football fans where a lot of people aren't. And 2, this is not Big 12 culture, but it is SEC culture. So the SEC is all about the tailgating experience, especially for the bottom 7, 8 teams that frankly don't have a very good football history. They don't have a lot to claim other than the experience themselves, which is what I always used to knock Oklahoma State about, because they always would say we lose a lot of football games, but we never lose a party, and we got the best tailgating experience in the world. And I always thought they had their priorities backwards. But whatever it is, that is something that was a priority. So I think it does. It affects who's going to come to the game, and the excitement that they're going to bring.
I mean, when the away fans only have, 8,000 tickets probably? What do you think the away fans allotment is at OU?
Well, it depends on
I think they
how
said
many you're
they're
going to
doubling
sell. Yeah, I think they are going to increase it a lot.
I
and
don't
it
think you're
depends
going
on
to have
who it is.
away sections sitting empty from schools like Florida and Georgia and places like that. They're going to come,
But it's not just the away
regardless of the
section.
tailgating.
It's the thing you hate. People will be selling their tickets to those fans, and those fans won't if they're not there. So when you look at a game like Ohio State, we didn't give them any ridiculous allotment, but they filled that stadium up with this sprinkled everywhere Ohio State fans, because that was a really big game and a really big attractive fan base, or it's attractive for that fan base to attend. So if you had a year in and year out experience with them, if they're on the schedule, or let's equate them to a Tennessee, then or an Alabama,
Yeah, but if Ohio State
marginally
fans,
fewer are going to come.
they came to this game and said, "Man, the tailgating there sucked," but I got to see Ohio State play at OU.
Well, they might not
So the
come
next
back
time they come
again.
back around,
Yeah.
they're going to come again because it's a football game.
Maybe.
Fewer,
It's not,
fewer
you're
will
not coming
come.
for the
Fewer will
pregame.
come. Fewer will come.
I don't know.
If it's a worse experience, fewer will come.
If we would have not done any of that tailgating at Tennessee and pulled in the parking lot and went to the game, it wouldn't stop me from going back to Tennessee.
But you wouldn't talk about it, and that, just because it wouldn't stop you doesn't mean at the margin, it matters. It is a part of the attraction. It makes it better, or makes it worse. Like if there was a ridiculous traffic situation, or it was really painful, or if it was expensive on the other side, like you're looking at Cincinnati and you're worried that you can't go, or thinking you can't go or won't go because the price is high, that's a deterrent. So I think it matters. If you ran the experiment comparing the two, I don't think there's any doubt about it. It's going to be a meaningful impact. And it's also a meaningful impact for Norman and for the fans of OU. I want to see an exciting. We've been bitching about it for multiple years
haven't.
now because it's a detriment. It used to be so much better than it is.
I never went to the south side of the stadium.
It's why we haven't
hardly
had a
at
good
all.
defense.
Yeah.
You see, you have to understand tailgating and defense. They see because, think
They
about
play
it.
good defense on the outside of the stadium.
That's right. You got to have your perimeter. You got to defend the perimeter.
I think it's just another thing. It's not that hard to do, but I think it's impact for how much
Yeah.
you have to put into it, for how impactful it is. You got to
Bang
figure
for the
it out.
buck. That's
Yeah.
a good point. I think
gotta
it's a
figure
big
it out.
bang for the buck. Well, what about, let's transition to talking about the summer camp and what the buzz is as well as, sounds like a lot of recruits that are interested, and we're seeing some people, I guess some offers actually made and accepted too. Anything notable to talk about on that front?
There's not really much out of camp. I think they're just working with Schmitty
Mhm.
at the moment. We had a junior college defensive tackle commitment a couple days ago. I don't know. It doesn't sound like he's going to be a 24 guy. He's a 25 guy.
Mm-hmm.
6'2", 389. But he's actually not like a big-bellied fat guy. He
No.
can actually kind of move.
He looks like he's like a cube
So,
of
muscle.
muscle.
I'm sure he's a little bit of a project being a JUCO guy, but sometimes it's just strictly grades. Sometimes it has nothing to do with.
Right. Talent. It's just the great. It was like the guy that we lost, the receiver.
Now, I'm sure you need him to be probably 340.
Right.
Schmitty's got some work to do.
Thin
but,
up a little bit. But again, back to your point on just getting good quality bodies in there, he could be a guy who could come in and provide some valuable downs.
And for him, someone that size, you're trying to take two guys and plug the middle, just period.
Yeah.
I know some people online were looking at his stats, and he only had one sack last season. Like, he's a 390-pound guy. He's
Right.
not
He's not
supposed
gonna
to have a
get
bunch
there
of
to get the
sacks.
sacks. He's going to draw the double team that
Yeah.
opens up someone else to get a
Exactly.
sack.
And we lose, unfortunately, another reason recruiting's so important right now, not that it isn't always, we've got to get some defensive linemen in, because I think we lose 4 D tackles off this year's team.
4 out of the 9 that we've brought in from the transfer portal.
So, but I mean, like our starters. I mean, so we're going to be going into 25, or the 24 season, sorry, in the SEC, replacing starting defensive tackles. So we got to get some young talent in here, and they might get thrown into the fire. But
Yeah, that's good, though, if we get him in relatively soon, especially if we can get some transfer guys in.
I think next year will be another year
Yeah.
of finding upperclassmen D tackles
I'm sure.
again.
Along with your true freshman projects.
Yeah.
So right now the transfer portal is still open. I know it is.
You can always get in it.
You can't pull people
Yeah.
out. Okay.
Which makes it strange. The one
It does
kid,
make
I
it
guess he
strange.
got homesick, LeBlanc or whatever,
right.
but I don't think he can even get on a team again until camp.
Well, after
Shoot,
After
maybe
the fall?
he's smart.
after spring.
Yeah, I bet not.
Or after
summer.
summer, yeah,
Yeah,
summer.
I bet.
yeah,
bet
I don't
he
know,
shows up
but
in
I don't
August.
think he can. I don't think he can even show up the first day of August or something of camp.
Oh, I bet
It's
so.
something strange because it sounds
Well-
like he's going to miss.
Who?
He's going to miss a season
Well,
because you can't transfer in time to.
I don't know because, and I'm thinking he's either smart or lazy that he doesn't want to go through a Schmitty camp and then he's do his own stuff in the summer and then shows up somewhere on August 1. But who was the running back from LSU?
Yeah.
Who was here and he arrived like August won 2.
Well, he left like a
And
couple
then-
days later. Yeah.
No, it's like several weeks, and we were all surprised by his ability.
I thought
to
he
leave.
left like
I don't
right
think he ever
before the
enrolled.
season.
Yeah, right before the season.
He enrolled. He didn't attend. It's like you can't.
Oh, you
attend
can't
a
attend
class.
a class.
Right.
Yeah.
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 And so he was there for like just all the.
Well, it's like Gabriel. Gabriel
fall camp.
didn't attend a class
Yeah.
at
UCLA.
UCLA.
Right. So I would bet he can arrive at the. My guess is he could arrive for fall camp in August somewhere, and then try to make it and see what happens. But he may be a guy who boomerangs back to us as a result, like the LSU guy. Who knows? I don't know. So this is something we don't get a lot of insight into, but I got to think this is another critical time, more critical than it will be in the future. Not that, like you say about recruiting, not that it won't always be important, but this summer, like last summer, very important, extra important, getting guys into the Schmitty program, getting them strong, getting them in shape the way they need to be, hopefully adding to it at a level beyond what they were doing last year because they were working with such raw materials in so many cases. To be able just to show up on the field in the fall and accomplish what you need accomplished and get off the field, hopefully, and get out of games quickly and not have these games where we're going down to the fourth quarter against lesser teams, lesser talent teams.
Yeah, I think the Smitty effect shows up more in the trenches.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, certainly so.
I think skill guys
Skill guys
can
are
always
skill
get
guys.
stronger and maybe a hair faster, but I don't really know how much faster
No.
the skill guys get. But
I'd agree.
definitely in the trenches,
And
I do
defensively.
think our offensive line did seem stronger last year.
Than the year before. I could see that.
Just another year of that can't hurt. Same with the D line.
Well, and the,
See
and
what
the whole
guys-
defensive backfield.
See
too,
what guys
getting
like
stronger.
PJ.
Yeah.
See what kind of muscle he can put on this summer.
Mm-hmm. And skill set. I mean, they're working on skills and working on the entire scheme. So both offensively and defensively, coming to an understanding of the playbook in a way that they weren't able to gather last year. That's important. That hopefully I don't know how much
There's
more,
less of a learning curve.
less of a learning
Yeah.
curve. Yeah, like that. I don't know how much more Dylan can learn, but maybe he gets comfortable enough with everything that he doesn't have those overthrows and doesn't have the. Yeah, you take away just a couple overthrows a game, that probably swings a couple of ball games for us last year. So
yeah, for sure.
if he can just get a little bit better,
His deal is probably his own player-led 7-on-7 stuff right now,
Yeah,
or just going out with
exactly.
his receivers.
Yeah.
He's got a whole group of receivers that he's got to get in timing with.
So I'll throw out something we'll probably come back to and talk about definitely during the season. One thing that I look forward to as a very important accomplishment will be the ability to put games away so we can get Jackson Arnold out there.
Oh, he absolutely has to get on the field next
So
year.
and hopefully by choice, not
Yeah.
by force,
Not by
not by
necessity.
necessity. So if we can get, especially in those early games, and honestly, if I'm looking at it and I'm Jeff Levy or I'm Brent Venables, my realism is the 4 games are not important. This guy, if he's
0.
who we think he's going to be, he will not be here 4 years
Or
of
5.
eligibility and 5 years total.
Yeah.
Play him every chance you get as much experience as you can get in safe environments and safe situations, assuming and hoping that we're in those situations where we have the luxury of putting in backups. But if we can get that early, I mean, especially in those non-conference games, if we can be done by halftime and feel like you're in a cruise mode, and we should be, that's a pretty easy.
I mean, we don't have
non-con.
Tulane on the schedule this year.
Yeah,
So.
well, good. Yeah, exactly. So if we can get more Nebraskas on the schedule, and so then you get him in quality minutes, get him lots of experience, get him comfortable, get into the Big 12 schedule and have some more opportunities like that. That will go a long way for his development and make 2024 probably a much better start, if not complete
I mean,
product.
some of the rumor, and again, it's obviously just rumor, but they were talking about maybe, I think it was September 21st, maybe,
The Bama
OU
game.
Alabama.
Yeah.
I mean, that is not much time
That's
for
the
Jackson
first.
Arnold
that's
to
the-
get ready.
That would be the first conference game.
Yeah. Jackson Arnold's first conference game might be Bama at home.
That's rough, folks.
And he's gotta play this next
That-
year significant amount of
a
snaps.
lot.
Well, according to Steve, our defense will be top 5. So
Well,
That means we only have to score 20 points. To
I
beat
think we'll
Bama.
be a top 20 defense for 2024.
I don't know what to expect. I'm like so twisted in my own mind with like Lucas has invaded my brain.
Don't.
And
You got the virus.
Come to the realist
He's
side.
got the virus.
I just like I want to see. I mean, Brent Venables'
It
statement the
just
other day.
can't. There's no logical reason for it to not be
We've said that, though.
The
significantly
That's
better.
schedule
what
is
scares
so
me.
easy this year. It's ridiculous.
The
No,
thing
not
that
to, no.
I mean,
not
it's
even who we're
ridiculous.
playing.
Schedule
easy.
aside.
Schedule
You're-
aside.
Not record.
The
Quality.
defensive staff, the players that we have there, how they look, just physically, like, there is no reason for it to not come together. Significantly better than it was last year.
Yeah, and
I mean, immensely better than last year.
I'm just the Venables statement about. I mean, he said it the other day I think after the SEC schedule release of, if we have a defense this year or if we feel the defense, we're a 10-win team. This team can go out and win 10 games. It's like, man.
No, I like that.
I like it
That's
too.
him
No, I like
saying,
it too. Like I just
I've
want
got high
like, man, I
standards, and
want
you guys
to,
are not
I
there
want
yet.
to-
Well, he
yeah,
said hang
like,
a banner.
g-
So
yeah,
he was
hang a
really.
banner.
Well, what I don't
Yeah,
like
yeah.
about that is he thinks the offense is good, and that's not the right mindset to have because the offense, I don't care where they ranked last year, they were not good enough.
I will say though that offense still scored points
Yeah.
where our defense would not get stops. Most offenses that scored as many points as we were last year are winning football games because they have
Yeah.
a defense that is
sure.
able to get stops.
And they would have
Certainly.
had the ball more often
Right.
to get more points
get more
if the
points.
defense
And
could
that's
get off the
even
damn
that's
Well, if our
even
offensive
with an
coordinator
idiot
knew how to
offensive
game
coordinator.
management
Yeah,
was,
yeah.
exactly.
we would have won 2 more games.
So I
this
mean,
season.
So
We'll see.
I think that, and this may not be.
still got us at 9-3.
It may have been an inappropriate
Got us
statement
to
for
what?
a head.
9-3.
Inappropriate. Oh, we'll be 10-2, no doubt about it.
He's talking about last year.
Oh,
It would have got
yeah.
us to 9-3.
Oh yeah.
No, I'm talking about this coming year.
This year.
Oh, 10-2 is the minimum.
Mm.
So, Venables' baby is always going to be defense. So, I see him with that statement saying, I'm trusting the offensive guys. I'm not going to badmouth offense. I'm going to badmouth defense, and I want more out of them.
Yeah.
Now, he is head coach, and perhaps he should look at it from both perspectives of neither unit's good enough for me yet. You get better, you get better. But I think he can't get out of the mindset of, I am the DC. You, Jeff Lebby, and everybody on offense are in charge of offense. I'm going to hold myself to a higher
Yeah,
standard.
he knows
and
the
I just
defense
hope
failed the
you
team.
do too. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So he may have those comments might not have been perfect, but I think coming from his perspective, I
And
understand.
if you
what
think
he's
if it
saying.
pisses us off, I guarantee you he was beside
Oh,
himself.
it
last
absolutely
year.
is an
No, we care
embarrassment
more
to
about
him.
this team than he does. Everybody knows that.
Well,
in
aside
a way,
from
we
us.
might. In a different way, we probably
That's
do.
probably true. Yeah, like. It's
But
like
defensively
fewer
speaking,
kids.
I bet when they went and watched film, he was just
Oh,
couldn't
don't
even
you know
sit
it?
there.
Because it's
Massive,
little
just-
things. It's little things. It's not like it'd be different if it's me out there and he's saying, "You're just slow, dude. You're never going to get there, and it's on me for putting you out there. It's all we got." But he knows these guys can do it. He's like, "Oh my God! If you just go left when you went right here, it's done. If you're just your steps are
Sometimes it's one step.
it's one step." So
Not
I'm
according
sure
to
it was
Stutzman.
really bothersome to him. Inches.
Yep.
So I would say my expectation in a too early prediction, I expect that we are top 2 in the conference in defense and top 2 in the conference in offense next year. What do you think?
I think that's. I
Who
think
else you put in there?
I think offensively for sure. I don't know, and it's us in Texas.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. There could be could be a surprise.
Defensively,
Defensive, I'll say top
Iowa,
5.
Iowa
I'll
State.
say top 5.
Iowa
defensive.
State's scheme, and they've got their guys are so used to it and so rolling.
Yeah.
It's like clockwork.
Baylor, but
Kansas State.
I don't think those things
they
can go
don't
hand in hand like that.
recruit like we do. They don't.
I don't think
have-
he's saying they go hand in hand.
I think
He's
they're
saying top 2
more-
in both categories.
but I don't think they. Go
I don't
hand
think
in-
that's possible.
I don't think they say hand in hand.
How would
I
it
think-
not be possible?
Because usually when your offense is scoring that many points, your defense isn't holding the other team to that few
Statistically.
points.
Statistically,
I don't think you're gonna
okay, I'm not
you're gonna score 40 points and give up 17 that
Well,
often.
setting that argument aside for 2 minutes. I'm saying just in true quality, the true rating. We would say those
eyeball,
are the
you're
two.
saying?
Whatever, yeah. Just like we know they're like, look back last year, and Georgia and Alabama might not have been the top 2 in both categories, but they're the top 2 in both categories in the SEC. So I'm saying from the same standpoint, I think we're actually, and I think it would match up actually if you're doing what you should be doing. I think the things correlate pretty closely, and they can complement real easily.
I don't think they do.
Why not? Why wouldn't they?
Well, it's just like it's like Baker and them scoring so fast. It just hurts your defense.
Well, I think they get off. Well, that extreme might that you've scored so fast.
I think to be in the
If
top.
we go back to the
I think to be
complementary
in the
football
top two.
principle that we're talking about,
It
they
won't
can
matter.
they can
Yeah.
go hand in
They
hand.
can
I
go
think
hand
you'd
in
be
hand.
top 5 in both out of a 10-team
You put.
what are we at? 14-team conference now.
I'll put it this way: in the extreme, put Georgia's defense from last year or the year before with the Kyler Murray or Baker Mayfield offense. They are top 1 or top 2 in the conference, regardless of the fact that they're probably scoring 100 points to nothing every game, but they're going to be top 1 and top 2. So it's possible, even if you have an extreme offense that's scoring that fast. I don't expect our offense is going to score that fast.
I don't either.
We could be top 1 or top 2, and we're not. We're still averaging 35 points a game, maybe 40. It's just a different style of football, and they need lean on the complementariness. But anyway, I have pretty high expectations, partially because I just don't think this league's very good. Obviously, there'll be surprises. One thing that I take comfort in, and this will be true in the SEC, maybe not as much, we're getting out of COVID. And so this is the last COVID year of impact. So no more
Super
average
seniors.
age of 25 super teams that shouldn't be any good and haven't had to recruit, and they've got all these guys with all this experience, and they've got wives and kids and mortgages, and they're still playing college football. That's not going to happen. So that will be some normalization that should take out the wild card of all of a sudden Oklahoma State has a top 2 defense out of nowhere.
And I think what's critical for the 2024 season also is if we have the kind of season we hope to have this next year, and let's say the defense does take that enormous jump that we're hoping for, can we keep a Billy Bowman one more year? Does he want to take his team into the SEC? You know what I'm saying? Does Stutzman, if he has the kind of season he could have, want to come back and lead this team to their inaugural season in the SEC? That could
You'll see if he
majorly
gets the
change.
Clemson effect
Yes,
at Oklahoma.
exactly.
And
And that
not-
could majorly change our 2024 season.
Absolutely. And not just the I want to do it to see this through to get a championship. Credibility when the coaching staff comes to you and says, and maybe an agent or someone else you've talked to, but they say, hey, this is a real product on the field that you're a part of now. You don't have to jump at your first opportunity to the NFL. You come back and you can raise your stock, have a better
Legitimately
position,
raise your stock.
legitimately raise your stock with lots of confidence. I get it.
I think the selling point too is, yes, you've gotten better. You're good enough to maybe go. You might be a second, third round safety. Take it to the SEC. That's what everyone's going to watch.
Yep.
Do what you do. Show them you can do in the SEC.
And be
you
part
might
of
be
a
a first
good
rounder.
team who is going to help get you there. Because I totally get in the last 5 years, guys saying, I got to get the hell out of here. I can punch my ticket. I'm doing it. I know it's a train and not an airplane. I don't care. It's getting me there. I got to get out of here because anything can happen in the next year. I might be the one guy, and maybe I got a lot of tackles just because they're all coming to me. Like the game where
Kenneth
Or
Murray.
if the players,
Yeah,
or
Kenneth
if the
Murray
players
sets records on-
themselves see
was
their
that in
own
the Army
true,
game or is that
Yeah.
see their own true
32, I
development
think.
too.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Because you don't know how
Absolutely.
they feel. Like, did I get better last
Did I
year
get
under
better?
Venables? And then
Yep.
after this season,
Yep.
like, I'm actually taking my game. These
Well, that
coaches
is
are
critical.
actually getting me.
That's an important part of just having a successful program for what we define as success. That's definitely a benchmark and barometer.
Because
keeping
like
those
Connor
guys.
said, there were so many seasons with Clemson.
Yeah.
They have first round defensive tackles. Like, I'm coming back.
Yeah. What are you doing? And yet they still have successful great
And we
players.
have guys
And
that
if
are like,
anything, it's
you're an
easier
undrafted
now.
free agent. He's like, peace.
Now, I don't know what. I'm sure there was lots of bagman money going on back then, but now those opportunities are even stronger and more explicit and above board, where you
Legitimate,
can
yeah.
say, okay, come back and don't worry, you're going to get fed, you're going to get paid. It's not NFL money yet, but you're going to get some compensation for coming back, as well as a promise that you're even better in the next year when you actually do enter the draft. So that's pretty exciting. Anything else to cover before we depart? I know one of us has to make a trip to Dallas for a big concert. So what time do you go on stage?
5:30.
5:30. All right. You got is your voice okay from this? Are you gonna
No,
be able to
I don't
do
have.
it?
I don't have a good voice.
Okay. Well, good thing you're on drums. Anything else to cover?
We have the Jordy Ball transfer.
Oh,
If we want to talk
yeah,
national
it's
championship.
unfortunate.
We haven't had a pod since we won the national
Yeah.
championship.
Congratulations,
Yeah,
OU
congrats,
softball.
OU softball, shout
That's
out.
awesome. That's
Dominant.
amazing. Dominant.
I think everyone,
dominant.
the word I kept seeing is, and it was very true of the team, was inevitable. I mean, it was a very inevitable team. Like,
Yeah.
everything they did was.
But they fulfilled it.
Yeah,
Which
exactly.
is
Yeah.
underappreciated how difficult it is to
Oh, like
actually
Patty was
fulfill
talking
that.
about the pressure. That's hard to deal with. I can imagine.
For sure.
When you are notably by far and away the best,
Yeah.
you have to prove it.
Yep.
That's a ton of pressure on you.
Well,
Well-
I think what's hard to fathom, and if you compare it to some other sports, is I think they lost 8 starters,
Right.
7 or 8 starters from last year's team
Yeah.
that lost 2
You talk
games.
about reloading.
and you more than reloaded. I mean, you're just
got better.
It's
And you're not losing much this year.
Yeah, yeah. Next year you've
Uh-huh.
got 6 or 7 of them coming back.
And you know the recruiting's
With
good. You
some
know the transfers
amazing,
are good.
Yeah, amazing people coming in. So.
So
yeah. As soon as she hit the portal,
yeah.
there's pictures all over the country that was making that phone call. They're making that phone call already.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. So one thing that was nice about this team as compared to other years that we've won championships is we weren't as dependent on pitching. We were, obviously it's still incredibly important, but it seems the game has changed, and we changed with it to have an offensive production and a defensive field across the board. And this is from someone who's a novice when it looks at softball, but it wasn't so incumbent on that pitcher who could get you out of innings. The whole team could get you there, and we could score like crazy. That's been a nice evolution.
Yeah, top
like,
to bottom. Just
Like you were saying, Lucas, to overcome the pressure, one of the pressures is just to bring it every week and not just rest on your laurels
Not
and
every
know how
week.
good
I mean,
you
sometimes
are.
you're playing 4 games in a while.
Right, yeah, true,
I
every
mean,
game.
Yeah.
Be able to not just as an individual slack and think my teammates are going to cover me, even if it's unconscious that you're making that decision. And they had some lulls, but they overcame them.
And when that schedule comes out, they adapt that schedule during the season. They add games like 2 weeks out. They'll be like, oh, well,
By
this,
the way.
like Florida State's coming to play 2 games at OSU. Let's just come see if they'll play us like the next day. And so they just add that game randomly. So
I didn't know that.
when you sit down and look at the schedule, you're like, yeah, we've got all these teams, but then Patty's adding more and more throughout the whole season.
yeah, I don't follow it enough. I didn't even
it's,
know that.
it's wild how
Wow.
they can just do that.
Is it
Baseball
just for
does
travel?
that. Baseball
Is it
does that too.
just travel related, like cost
Yeah, a lot of
expense?
times, like
and
we were supposed to play.
cancellations.
cancellations.
Yeah, there was a
replacing
Tulsa game that
games
got canceled, but Patty really wanted them to host a game to help them ticket sales essentially.
Yeah.
So they rescheduled the game a couple weeks later, and we
Huh.
went to Tulsa and played. And I mean,
That's tough.
yeah,
Good. Congratulations to them. Hopefully, we can build a football team the softball team can be proud of.
now getting a new stadium and a Patty statue, well deserved.
Yeah. Are they going to do a statue for an existing coach, or are they going to wait until
Nope.
she's
it's-
retired?
unveiled next year.
Yep.
Oh,
They're
really?
gonna Gary
I didn't know.
They're gonna Gary Patterson
announced it.
Yep.
Okay.
And we'll run her
All right.
off like TCU ran
There we
Gary
go.
off. and-
There we go. Send her out to pasture.
Yep.
Well, all right. Until next time, Boomer.
Sooner.